Hey guys, so this is Tim's last day here and we are adventuring to Balls Falls, which is a funny name and Tim can't hear it without laughing, so he's off in the corner there. My husband John and I had the pleasure of hosting photographer Tim Day in Canada for a whole week. We had a great time. Look at this tree here. It's fantastic. I love that.
Question from Karen Fuss. Landscape focus method debate, please. A debate in a woodland, dear me. 1/3 into the frame, double distance, hyperfocal or focus stacking for the sharpest results. Thanks in advance. Also, one scenario to wonder about is rocks in the foreground and the ocean in the background. Do we focus on the rocks? Question mark. So focusing on landscape photography can be certainly a point for debate, but I feel that it really depends on the situation at the time. In the situation that you're talking about with the rocks in the foreground and the ocean beyond, then you'd probably be better off focus stacking, because you've got a very, very close foreground. If your foreground's a little bit further on, sometimes you can get away with focusing 1/3 into the image. It all very much depends on the situation at the time. Ideally, photograph your foreground first and have a close look on the back of your camera, sort of pinch in really close and see how out of focus your background is, and it's usually a good judge to see if you need to focus stack there. But when in doubt, it's always best to focus stack so you've got the information. If you don't need the extra focus stacks, it doesn't really matter, but when in doubt, play safe.
Karen, thanks for the question, and also thank you so much for your comment that we both rock. That is so sweet of you. And just a big shout out to Karen. We've stopped in this little cove and it is beautiful. There's moss all over the rocks, there's sunlight coming in dappled through the trees. There's this huge rock where somebody has kind of carved a heart out of the moss. It's just gorgeous.
Feels very English if it wasn't for the wildlife.
It feels very English. Okay, Bernard asks a question. I would like to see a big event in the UK for landscape photographer UTOGs folks. So UTOGs, for you guys that don't know, are YouTube photographers, and we have a Facebook group. And I think this is a great question. I would love to do a big workshop or meetup or that kind of thing. Something where everybody can actually get out and get some experience and have some fun doing some learning and some photography and that kind of thing. I guess like Bernard has gone on and told us a little bit more about his ideas. Maybe a full weekend in exceptional areas like Snowdonia Mountain or somewhere else where, you know, there's a whole bunch of different types of people all contributing. And I think that's fantastic. It's there are similar things in the works right now. Joseph Seeger has answered that it's been in planning for a while, and I haven't been to the UK yet, but that is definitely something that is on my list. And I wish I knew how to answer this question, Bernard, but you asked, is that something that you'd be interested in doing? So that I can say, yes, for sure I'd be interested in doing that, because I would love to meet up with all of you UTOGs and other types of photographers and just have a time where we can learn and shoot together.
When it comes to photo conferences and that type of thing, personally I'm someone that prefers just to get outdoors and start taking images and love the social side of things, but I do worry about bureaucracy and when things get a bit too, I can't think of the word, regimented. But meetups and this convention's a great thing, as long as we don't get too involved in rules and regulations and we're just out having fun in the outdoors with our cameras. It's all good for me.
And definitely the best way to learn is just to do. So wow, it is hot. The last few days we've had nice crisp weather, crisp for this time of year anyway, September, but today is so muggy. By the time we finish this walk, I'm gonna feel like I've gone for a swim in the waterfall. Ooh, I hear water. Oh, wow, look at that.
I don't have French requires a different font.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. So it is so humid, everything is fogging up, including this lens. So if this is kind of hazy, that's why. But we have made it to the upper falls and it's just beautiful. Now the rock ledge, whoop, see if I could show you. The rock ledge over here is actually where the main falls comes over, but it's completely dry right now. August is really our driest season. This other falls in the corner though is just beautiful, and we're hoping, we did see the path split a while back, so we're hoping that there might actually be a path to the bottom. We're gonna try.
Your ants are huge.
Look at that.
Got light on them as well.
It is so humid today and the ground is wet, which means that the rocks are actually quite slippery, surprisingly so. And it's beautiful. This is like a tropical jungle today.
I was just thinking exactly the same thing. The sounds, the ambience, the humidity, it feels very tropical here. goes up, but whether
This says easy trail beginner. I would go in there if I brought extra shoes.
Yeah, I haven't got my wires. Normally with my wires I just walk straight up there.
I know, it's not that deep. Well, what do you want to do?
Looks like it connects, but... So Will asks, what got you both into photography? Do you want to start?
What's gotten me into photography? Well, I've always loved photography, even as a child. My father gave me my first DSLR, and it was film, and I couldn't use it very well. And of course, everything, you know, to get 12 prints was expensive. If I got one that was properly exposed, I was over the moon. But later on, when I had my wedding, and it was a little bit after that, I thought about going into wedding photography because I still liked photography, and I ran into my own wedding photographer who agreed to mentor me and teach me, and it was still film, and it was fun. So that's kind of where it all started in terms of doing it more seriously, and that was 2001. Wow. How about you?
I've always had a kindling desire for photography, and I think that desire got more and more when digital came in and it was cheaper to take images and delete them, and it wasn't expensive. You didn't have to wait a week for your prints to come back, and I really got a passion for it when I first started noticing waterfalls and waterfalls photography and those ethereal images, which I do a couple of now and again, and that really sort of increased the flame, as it were, increased the passion, and I really wanted to know how to get those waterfall shots and the way they were made, and that just sparked my curiosity, which hence my specialism in waterfall photography.
And for me, it was a few years ago when I started to do landscape photography. All of a sudden my passion for the outdoors was rekindled. I mean, growing up we spent all of our time outside, and then, you know, you become an adult and you get busy with work and kids and all that stuff, and so I wasn't out and about that much. But when I started doing landscape photography, that's when my passion for all of it just really exploded, because I love exploring.
Yeah, I've done portrait photography before you've done wedding photography, and there's something about, there's a big difference being told what to photograph.
Yes.
Between coming out into the great outdoors and photographing for yourself, it's
totally different. Yeah. Thanks, Will.
Cheers.
I have to also say, I managed to convince Tim to go farther down towards the upper falls, and because we got to a point where the rocks were wet and slippery and it didn't look very good. We could see the falls but not quite get there, and I went a little bit and I thought, ooh, we could possibly get there. There's something there. We've got to try. And we went a few steps and we were both like, no.
I'm unusually lacking confidence as I'm just wearing trainers, and all my good shoes are packed.
It wouldn't have ended well. So now we're heading to the lower falls.
It'd been good for YouTube though.
It would have been. Yeah. Yeah. We just set up the camera and watch all of our bloopers.
Okay, we'll do one more before strolling on, as it's rather warm and quite an effort to walk.
It is.
Small. Alan Dunnett, Tim, when are you getting your advanced swimming certificate? I passed the advanced level a long time ago. I'm on to lifesaver level now.
You see all the practice he gets.
Yeah. Well, not too much here, thankfully.
Not too much.
I've been very good here. I'm very careful.
Your camera tried to go for a swim.
Yeah, that's true, but there was no water, so it landed in the concrete. Not to worry.
Bobby Reynolds asks, what is the best camera presets to gain the most control while processing raw files? So Tim and I were having a little discussion here about this, and not really presets, but if you want to have the most control with your raw files, you want to have the most information on your image. So the lowest ISO that you can get for the situation, making sure that if you're in a very high dynamic range situation that you don't clip your blacks or blow your highlights out. So bracket if necessary.
Yeah, all good. I always try to use a tripod, even though the shutter speed may dictate otherwise. I could shoot handheld. I think a tripod slows you down a little bit and makes you concentrate more on your composition.
Definitely, and if there's any movement at all, the tripod is great because then you get the sharpest image possible, and yeah.
So Garrick asks, hi Garrick.
Hi Garrick.
Other than comments from subscribers and the love of photography, what drives you most to create photography vlogs? You want to start on that one?
You know, I've got to say, Garrick, that it's that I love learning and exploring. So photography is always going to be a passion of mine, but I've also now discovered a passion for videography, and I feel like there's just so much to learn.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Videography, it still comes secondary for photography.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's another creative release, I think, videography.
It is.
Plus, apart from you guys watching these videos, it's great for us to create a visual documentary that our kids can look at in the future as well.
That's true. That's so true. So yeah, learning, exploring, documenting, and it's just seriously fun.
So even if you don't want to share it online, you can upload it to YouTube as a private video if you wanted to keep it for your own records. So it's a great thing to do. Highly recommended.
I think I have had more experiences, unforgettable, life-changing experiences since starting this that I never would have had if I hadn't become a vlogger. Yeah,
it does give you a bigger kick up the backside to go to places that you've always wanted to go to, like Canada, for example, but I've never gotten around to. I think, being brutally honest, if it wasn't for vlogging, I probably wouldn't be here now.
Right. So. Cool. Awesome question, Garrick.
Kevin Gilbert Photography asks, which waterfall did you enjoy the most while you were here, Tim? I'm going to go for the obvious and Niagara Falls, but only because the conditions were absolutely amazing when we arrived there in the morning. They really were once in a lifetime conditions, I feel, especially for someone like me that's travelled thousands of miles to view Niagara Falls. I'd like to say somewhere else, somewhere a little bit more that's not known about, but the conditions were just perfect on that day. And yeah, has to be Niagara Falls for me, I'm afraid.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's taking too far. So Scott Hughes asks, how did the conversation go with Mrs. Day when you said, I'm off to Canada? It was something that I ummed and ahed about for quite a long time as well. I probably thought about it for about 3 or 4 months before I decided to do it, and Carol, my better half, was very, very supportive, and she's even let me come back in the springtime, so very supportive. I'm very grateful for. Next question from Gary Norman. Tim, has Canada lived up to your expectations? And Rachel, can we expect to see you in the UK at some point in the near future? Well, Canada has exceeded my expectations, especially the people, very welcoming and have to admit, and I'm going to say that I'm going to be returning in the spring as well for a second helping.
Can't wait.
Yeah, the waterfalls at this time of year are a little dry, as you would expect in the UK, and I really want to come back and see them in the full glory.
And I definitely have the UK on my travel list, and actually my short list travel list. So as soon as I can arrange it, I will be seeing you there soon. We've loved having Tim here, and we're so glad that he's going to come back soon.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for your questions, guys. It's been...
That's great. It was really short notice as well. Really decided last night to do this, didn't we? So
that's right.
It was
Yeah.
really good everyone responded so quickly.
So thanks for coming along, and we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Rachel, David, and Tim. Hope you guys are having a nice time up in Canada, shooting waterfalls, hanging out, drinking beer, whatever's going on up there. Just remember, you all owe my good friend, Russell from Chicago, an email, a phone call, a tweet, whatever. That's it. Have fun. Stay out of trouble. Don't go over the falls in a barrel. It's not a good idea. Bye.